as the light show begins, and perhaps those musings and ruminations on the future of this series can be put to rest, because Draft is about to touch our screens.
It is. So, getting into this game, Game 1 versus EDG versus IG. EDG still playing with Monkey over JJ, who is out with a head injury. But we do have Vampire starting. We were wondering whether there was going to be a different support change, whether Shamu was going to be starting. He did play one game earlier in the week. But now, as we come in against IG, this bot lane in particular needs to step up because Arn and Weak have been on form.
They really, really have. And I will at some point want to get on my LDL soapbox about Monkey, but we'll wait until we're a little bit further through the draft to talk about this guy, because he was actually pretty solid in the LDL. He was really, really good at Nest in particular. So that'll be quite exciting to see what he can do when he's given this opportunity for all that's come at the cost of injury. The last man is the Senna. At least it was an interesting first pick option.
Well, you don't have some of the lane dominant carries available, but the thing is, in this matchup in particular, you saw that Jax hover. I was wondering if that would be a first pick. YSKM, Ala, they play in almost every situation, particularly with Cassante not being great now. That's actually a very powerful pick for both of these teams. Instead, it's the Varus which has come through. The Snake has picked up an MVP performance on this pick before, so maybe they're saying, look, we need to put this bot lane on rails, give it the easiest laning champion in the meta right now.
And it's definitely the champion that Snake's most confident on as well, and that's not surprising necessarily considering how strong the champion is right now and has been for the last year or two. Hell, quite a lot of competitive play. I think I remember seeing some stats saying Varus was the most picked champion in the bot lane for the whole of Worlds over its existence. I need to check out that number again, but I think that rings true still. On the other side though, Xin Zhao will be locked in for Lian, and they will be trying to find something to go along with this. Maybe a bot lane champion, maybe looking, I would have said towards the Karma, but I just realised that's banned, so yeah, I need to think that one through a little bit more.
Also, this is 14-4, so
it's less good.
Karma is less good, so it's going to be Wink picking up Nautilus. He has had some fantastic games on that. Okay, no, it's not the hook. I would have figured that would have been a great lock.
I agree, I think that's a hook.
Hey, what's going to happen with that? Because now you're giving over the Varus Nautilus, which is giving Vampire a very easy to play champion, so maybe we should have held fire on that one in terms of talking about it, but then it does raise the conversation of, hang on, Nautilus has been banned an awful lot in the first rotation. Both these players are very good at it. Why are we not locking it in immediately? It has gone over to Vampire.
Exactly that, and I understand on the other side, the Xin Zhao and the Tilia is a really good pairing for Lian and for Cryin, and if they can get that duo to roam around and cause some damage, that will be great news for them, but they do have to find those options there, especially as you're giving over that kind of potentially very scary bot lane.
Now, Fisher, he hasn't necessarily played the Orianna that much from actually on memory. It is going to be up against that Talia, which is a good matchup for the Orianna because the Shockwave will outrange the Talia. In fact, it was one of the matchups which kind of forced Talia out of meta around Worlds of last year. Now, I am really wondering now whether EDG can play around a solid front to back. They've not necessarily looked great at front to back unless Ala has been on a very strong tank. If you look at this patch now, where the Cassante has now been taken away but also weaker, and then something like the Udyr is still around but it's not as prominent a front line as something like the Cassante, I am wondering what Ala can lock in that can really help EDG play that front to back style.
Yeah, I think that's fair to contest. The Jax in some ways, not that you actually want to play front to back with it, but at least you can get that pseudo front line by just engaging with the counter, like having the Grandmaster's Might. You can still play that way.
Like when you've got the Orianna and the Varus, you kind of need something to just play up front because these two champions ain't going to be peeling for themselves that easily. Now I'm wondering, okay, you've got potentially Sejuani or something like that from the jungle. Maybe Rel as the kind of half tank option, which isn't even great into something like the Talia Xin Zhao combo. I'm wondering what EDG can do to round out this teamfight comp. It's going to be quite difficult because there aren't that many tanks that are good right now.
I can see that the bans as it stands are against Monkey, who of course is the newest member to the roster, was alongside a lot of these guys in the LDL doing very well down there. Of course they've come to the LPL and it's been a bit of a rude awakening in a lot of ways. There was, I think, a little bit more confidence than has ended up being shown on stage, shall we say, but Monkey was a massive Graves player. This guy ran games with that champion. He was so good at it. Getting rid of the Jax as well against Ale. Those are two kind of iconic champions for those players. We've talked about it ad infinitum. On the other side, it's let's get rid of some of these really nasty playmaking supports. The Rakan, the Renata, super busted. Yep. But there's a Lucian Milio angle still available.
Well, so the thing is, though, if you're going to lock in something like the Lucian or even something like the Draven, right, you're thinking about what the support pairing can be. If it's the Lucian, it's likely to be an Enchanter, which it feels like the Varus Nautilus deals with very well. You land one hook and the game goes very poorly. So if you go for the Milio now, you're lacking Engage, and you're potentially getting picked off in lane by a good hook from Vampire, and that's a good sign for EDG. It means that there's maybe some early game options available to them versus the bot lane of Arn and Wink, which we did say was potentially a win condition for Invictus Gaming. Now we're looking to see what EDG can round out this composition with. Viego has been the flavor of the week from EDG, well, not just from EDG, from the LPL, just as a whole, rather than calling out EDG as a specific team, because it makes your games so easy. And we were wondering, what other tanky champions can you lock in for that top lane to perform as a front line? Poppy we haven't seen really since week 1 and 2. It's been taken a little break, but it has been locked in into the Cassante, which has been nerfed, and Poppy was already a winning matchup versus that while being able to perform as a tank. This is a great pick for Ella.
There it is, and you got another sort of carry AD jungler for Monkey in the Viego, so that feels pretty good for his archetype of champion as well. And now we've got two very different styles of team comp. You've got the frontline you are asking for Ale with the Poppy. We've got Engage and ball carrying there with obviously the Nautilus and the Poppy, all very happy to have that Orianna ball thrown on them. It can help Viego get those resets. You've got the Varus there to help with the pick. Get one kill, start jumping across bodies, you're feeling really good. On the other side, it's a little bit more... How do I put this for IG? They've kind of gone for the Lucian Milio plus that kind of Talia Xin Zhao combo. It's like, okay, we can all dive bot, we can all turn up where the Lucian is on short notice and try and kill the unfortunately outnumbered people there. So
that's why I think Lien really needs to be that tip of the spear in the way that the champion is. I think that this guy, if you can start pushing up and giving that space for Cryon to move, can be a huge difference maker. They don't have the most intuitive engage, they don't have a Maokai ult or a Nautilus to throw at you in the way that so many other team comps in the meta do right now. But Lien has been his own kind of engage because he's just that aggressive in the early game. He beat BLG with his team. Man. BLG, their one series lost was to Invictus Gaming. Now, they haven't necessarily been able to keep up that level of form, but this is a team which is looking to contest top spots against a team which is looking to escape the bottom spots. As we get into game 1, it really does feel if EDG were to lose this series, I think if they lose this series, they are mathematically locked out of playoffs.
Oh man, that is a huge, huge thing to keep your eyes on. And to clarify, is that if they lose a game or lose the series?
Lose the series. Okay. So typically, I think you can, in some situations, sneak in with an 8-8 scoreline. I don't believe that is possible with a 7-9, all things put together. That's what's on the line here. Most of the time, 8 series losses, which they're already at, is difficult enough. But you get to 9, yeah, that's pretty much lights out.
Alright, that is some serious weight on the shoulders. And of course, perhaps in some ways if the series does go wrong, maybe that's the way off EDG and they don't have to play, they can play a little bit more relaxed, but until that final bell is rung, the option is there, the opportunity is there to go with. First up though is a little pre-game dance show. We're outside the ring, instead we've got cheerleaders out and they're throwing some moves.
You know there used to be sports events where actually people used to have cheerleaders. I'm not sure these dances are the most evocative thing ever. They're a little bit, you know, jerky, but
that would be, in fact, I would pay good money to see people dressed up as like Cassante doing cheerleader dances. Could you imagine? I mean, that's effectively what Heartsteel kind of became. It'd be very funny.
Sam, I would pay a lot for people to dress up as Ari.
Yeah, I was trying to keep it a little bit more family friendly, but no, that's not straight the case. There.
So we do.
I got you some water, mate. You shouldn't be this thirsty.
It's a constant trying battle. We do have 3 people going to top, so 3v3 onto the Raptor camp. You do have Monkey stacking up the Conqueror very early. One small Raptor, no Raptors taken so far, and does look like EDG should be able to secure their escape after this. I'm surprised that they didn't bring up Vampire to this early lane, but they can't really do that if they want to keep a bot lane pressure. But Nautilus is normally so good at the level 1s. Monkey is going to walk away with a level 1 camp steal, very important.
Do that and a big chunk onto Cryon as well, and that felt like a pretty useful use of your time, right? Costs Ale a little bit here in terms of his ability to get to lane early-ish, but that's about it. And honestly, it's as if you'd leashed, really. So all it is play safe for a wave or two and you'll be just fine.
Question is, what's going to happen with mid and bot lane? Because what we have seen with a couple of these games where you have early invades into jungle is the enemy jungle will want to go over to your side of the jungle and then take some camps away from there. So what Monkey has done, taken Raptors, taken red, going back over to his Raptors and his red to make sure that Lien can't go in and get value out of those other camps. So he's going to be a full quadrant of the jungle down. He might be able to get double scuttle if Monkey doesn't play around maybe some of these lanes particularly well, or if he stays on his camps too long. But Lian has been very much put behind in this early game.
It's also worth pointing out that considering those scuttle crabs have been pretty heavily nerfed over the years from the incredible importance they used.
2021, that was the year.
Yeah, somebody reminded me of the DFM C9 game where Blabber ended up doing his crabber thing that the meme became.
Oh, this is important. So Lian knows he has no farm available on the map, so he needs to make a play. Fisher is disconnected from Monkey right now, who is responding, but Fisher positioned on the right side of the map for him to walk out, and Lian loses his one shot at this early game to try and make something happen. That's an important miss there. It's not always easy to see that. The hook lands.
Nice hook there from Vampire, gets a chunk onto Arm, but of course there is a cozy campfire, so we'll be able to mend those boo-boos very fast. Summer camp, guys, it's just a beautiful experience.
This one time at summer camp. Monkey now walking up towards topside, and this is what we're worried about. He needs to play around his lanes. They're not there just yet, so Monkey takes a bit of a chunk, stun misses as well.
I might want this fight, but they decide against it, and actually Leon decides against coming in, partly because I think Ale's got the shove in topside just about, so would have been first roam down towards the river.
Yeah, Ale, on this matchup, we said wins early and is a tank matchup. I think this pick is very important for EDG. We'll touch in on that a little bit later to see how they can frontline with it. Seeing a picture-in-picture of a flash auto into a hook, which didn't achieve that much. You can see that obviously in live. None of the summoners were blown, so Vampire tried to use something with this early Varus Nautilus lane, which can bully out most lanes in existence, but doesn't quite manage to get the results he wants.
Gets a HP advantage, that's really about it. And again, it's not the end of the world for the Vampire. I mean, yes, Vampire, but the Nautilus specifically, the Vampire, to lose Flash early on in some ways, because Hex Flash is still really valuable for the champion, so the cost of using Flash more aggressively isn't as pronounced as it is perhaps on some other champions.
Now we get to see what's going to happen with the next couple of resets. See that Lian is behind a little bit in terms of that farm. Hasn't been double scuttled though. Monkey is still clearing through his first clear of topside camps, I think. He was delayed on taking them because he went towards that response in mid lane and then up towards topside scuttle as well. He might go for a Raptor respawn though at some point. We'll have to keep an eye on that one because it does feel like with Fisher pushing up in the mid lane against Cryan, it could be an option. Lian, he is getting starved of options. We've talked about that himself, and that can be very important, I think. So I did a VOD review yesterday of T1 versus Bro, because it feels like T1 play kind of like the style of the meta right now. But one thing which doesn't change even with that style, but it is more important, is the fact that jungle's time and attention is the most valuable thing in League of Legends.
Absolutely.
And if you have to kind of force your way into like low percentage plays and you don't have that much many options available to you, your whole team suffers. Now Lian has done a good job of looking for some things, but he's not necessarily getting the value he would love to out of specifically an early game champion like this too. He gets the dragon, but the problem is even a dragon, when you're stuck at level 4 here as well, is not particularly quick to take, so Lian would love to get himself really onto the map and doing something on the Shinzao.
On the other side, Monkey on this Viego off the early invaders managed to get a couple camps ahead, got that reset earlier, has got a full quadrant to work with compared to Lian as well, has gotten the early grubs. Viego with early farm lead should always scare people because him getting to that one item, him getting to that 2 item early on, especially because he is these days going towards a significantly higher damage build, can be very, very deadly indeed.
And also, it's been, as we said, Viego has been the flavor of the LPL this week, or the last couple of weeks really. I think it started with Xiao Hao on Weibo. We've seen a couple of other players pick it up more and more. Xiao Feng also on the side of OMG, been doing a lot of work for that with that champion. It is an easy composition to play. The LPL has struggled to adapt to 2024 so far, and the level of the gameplay has dropped. Now, when you play around Viego when there's Nautilus in the game, actually with or against Nautilus, because Viego becomes very powerful because either Nautilus is going to find you the engage for the first kill to reset fights, or he's going to be the first kill in a fight on the other side of things because he's a Nautilus. So this means that EDG, a struggling team, they're putting one of the most easy compositions to play into their own hands right now. You see that Monkey with the early game lead. That will help them achieve this. They're currently looking towards Arms and Wink in this bot side, but there's a Weaver's all available. I don't think they can pull off this dive. Ult misses
and
from
the Chins of
Varus.
Corruption go mind, and that means the Nautilus is very deep and without allies. The Shockwave after isn't a bad idea, but it's just too little, it's just too late, and for all the compositions pretty easy to play, it's also a little telegraphed. And Vampire gets split off by a very good Weaver's Wall from Cryan.
Well, you can see the movements. I didn't really want to talk necessarily about that dive as it was building up as much, because I thought, well, they'll know that the Talia's coming because she's not in mid, right? Well, they'll know that Lian's on that side of the map, right? and they just didn't respond to it very well. So despite the fact that the first clear has gone well from EDG, they don't pull off this dive decisively. Even if they did, I think it would have been a very difficult scenario for them, and they lose first kill. And that's a big difficulty for them, because suddenly if this Nautilus and this Varus can't keep up what they've been doing in this early game, the Lucian and the Milio start to take over.
All I'm saying is, apparently these days stakes don't need to be made of wood. A large stone spear will do just the same.
He's looking to see if there's going to be a hook out of the bush, but Arn is wise to their tricks currently. Going to back off, and he's going to hang around his vision. There is a flash on Vampire if he wanted to go for a cheeky flash hook, but it's not going to be the case.
Walk forwards. Oh, Arn. Oh, Arn, that's not great! Flash for the staggering blows afterwards. A monkey gets a kill. Much better from EDG.
This is one of my least favorite things in League of Legends, where you can tell that a player knows that something is up, and then does it anyway. We see it in top lane, we see it in bot lane. You sat there and was like, there's gonna be a hook in that bush. I'm gonna hide behind the minions. Ah, it's okay now. I've waited half a wave. I'm gonna go up to the wave.
Are you a matter of fish? Stay away from the bush.
What the hell?
Ignore the hook.
Oh god. Yeah, you can't exactly do that. The hook, if it is thrown at you, you don't really have an option in that one.
Is that why Nautilus is so good in Dynami?
Oh my god, that makes a lot of sense. Sadly, it's not like you can really have object permanence where you close your eyes and just ignore the hook.
Like if I close my eyes, it can't hit me. Considering some of my solo queue teammates, maybe that is the thought process.
Potentially. See, Ali actually gets a good block here. That's an all-out force. Ali still has ult, though, after the W goes down. Significant amount of damage left. So Ali gets a good trade up there, and YSCam won't be able to impact the next fight of the game without that ghost or that ultimate.
You should not let me stay in this lane. I need to leave right now. Of course, that does leave a little bit of time towards Wink and Arn towards the spot side to get another plate or so. But this Lucian Milio, it's done okay. At least they got the first blood onto Arn, which is great news on responding to the dive. And that's kept that bot lane in a decent spot. A couple plates has helped as well, but it's not a super snowball Lucian.
I would say, given the situation of the early game junglers, this Milio and the Lucian has done very well, considering that they've survived the dive. They're even in farm. They got themselves 2 plates on this bot side as well. I think Arn and Wink, they're going to get themselves to that 1-item spike, and they're potentially looking for a dive here too now. No level 6 on Vampire.
Okay, this would be a better look of it. This is much better snowball. They get an initial kill. Talia picks that one up. Now Leon gets rooted under tower. They will likely go down into 1-for-1.
And they do get the teleport out from Fisher too, but it's a little bit awkward. Right, so who picks up the kills? Both AD carries. You can see that YSCam just trying to get under turret now as Alice trying to bully out this matchup. This Poppy. Oh no, don't throw him away from the turret. Please don't. That'd be so sad. I think he knows he has W, so he's like, okay, I can't actually throw this out right now. So he just puts it on cooldown again, sees if he can base out the W and deny him something.
The trade as well was, of course, Monkey was topside getting those additional grubs. Now we're going back towards the bot lane as Arn throws down the Ignite. And actually has to run away pretty fast here. The heals popped. Not quite in range for a command dissonance there to slow down Arn.
He was thinking about going for the full shockwave, I think. Trying to force out that flash. The heal from Wink, as you rightfully said, gets him out to safety. Now IG, they don't get the cleanest dive possible, but still, when it's getting to this point where the Varus and the Nautilus don't necessarily have themselves the easiest laning phase, or like the most dominant laning phase, and then the Lucian Milio get themselves to 1 item, I favor the Lucian Milio. So dives like this, trading gold between them, and it's the Lucian that's the beneficiary, even though Varus has also earned a lot of gold. I'm actually going to favor IG in the 1-for-1 on this one.
For the record as well, I believe it was Talia that got that one, so it's still the Talia that picks the gold.
Oh, sorry, yes, you're right.
But that's still not a bad thing, as the Dread Slide comes on down alongside the Breath of Life. Leon is here to try and turn it around. Action all over the bot lane. I said initially there wasn't that much going the way of Arn and Wink, but this is much more consistently done, especially, as you noted, the early jungle kerfluffle.
And we've now seen 3 very important plays from IG where Cryan has used globals to great effect. It was the first blood, it was the dive, and then the play down here as well, where he just ends up roaming. But he's ended up being very important to how IG have stabilized this early game. IG are at a gold lead now, and despite the fact that the first play of the game really went to EDG with the jungle clearing working out, you can see that Vampire and the Snake, they don't really have the gold to make these plays work in a 2v2. Hero body block from Wink in the way too makes this look flashy as heck. As Leon comes down, very important for him to get involved.
The flash wind becomes lightning, means that lightning gets to strike a little further than it might otherwise, and they get the great kill there. And in fairness, you can see what the angle was, but the body block in particular meant that Arn didn't take as much damage he might otherwise have done. Towards the top side we go. YSChem has got 3 on Tofo strikes and you're out. I've been saving that one for a good team fight at some point. My baseball references are limited, but that's a really good one.
3 and tough destruction, yeah, out as he takes second base or something
Yeah,
like
it's a
that. If
home
he takes
run,
it
come
into
on.
on, though, flashing out from Fisher Stockwave. I'm really not sure why he was in that position. Dragon started. Ult away from Monkey.
Monkey uses the ult, so does Fisher. All ults still available realistically on the side of IG with the exception of the Breath of Life, which was used in the bot lane. Now we go back towards the Dragon. It'll be second Dragon for IG if they can make it happen. Dredgeline comes on through. Leanne has to use the Crescent Guard. Dragon secured. Now they're going to run away, but that's a fantastic chain to corruption. Flash on in for the staggering blows from Vampire, and they'll secure the body, and that means the fight can keep on rolling. All of those resets coming on through, and that's what EDG's comp's all about. Get ready for the bounce house.
Monkey, no ult left. Is he going to get burst out here? He hits the stun, but I don't think it's enough. He gets ignited as Arn drops that onto him. So Monkey may be going a little too far there. I think Arn and Wink, they can get under this turret potentially. Now they've got the ult coming through.
Depth charge comes through, lands on both because it hits, of course, the Milio as well. He's knocked up into the air, and Monkey claims another 4 kills to the Viego.
Oh my gosh, Monkey. He is the person who starts things off well with the early clear. He is the person who gets all of the kills in that team fight. And EDG, they are in such a good spot after this now, because suddenly their win condition of looking for the first kill from those resets and then looking to play through the recess afterwards is very much online. So what happens here? Leanne uses an early Crescent Guard. That's fine. This is your temporary front line. It stops EDG from necessarily getting themselves the biggest play. But it's the Snake catching out Leanne with another ultimate. He did it under the bot lane turret. He does it here in the bot river as well. I think Cryon sticks around too long as well. I think that as soon as that Varus ult lands, you just need to get the heck out of dodge. You need to leave. It feels like IG, they buy into a fight which they can't finish.
And the problem is, you're giving over the cooldowns of a Shinzao and all his ability to jump way into a team fight to a Viego. He's suddenly got a whole new way to get into the backline again. That's really, really scary. And for all that, I think there has been some legitimate criticism of EDG, particularly towards the beginning of the split where they looked just lost. Monkey coming on in feels like actually this team looks a little bit more like they're on the same page for once. And that will be an interesting one to track because it's been rough for him to just sub him to JJ of all people.
And that's why I think drafting a composition which is very easy to play helps with that, right? Because you've got the Nautilus, you've got the Shockwave, and you've got the Viego looking for the recess. Now, I'm interested to see what happens when top laners come into the equation, as we see that. Ala and Westcam, even on farm, you have a lot of tower damage coming through on this top side of the map, don't get me wrong, so it is Ala still winning out in that phase, but they potentially could change the way that this team fight works. I think it's going to favor EDG as well, though, because Poppy has a much easier job standing in front of the damage as a full tank.
I think that's very fair, and I think the other thing is, especially if you're trying to pull off these dive combos, you've gone for this Shinzao and Taliyah, you're diving on one side, a Varus and a Nautilus who have the ability to lock down the person who takes tower aggro very hard indeed. You've got Poppy on the other side, who is notoriously good at dealing with people jumping on it with the press of a W and an Archie. So, actually, how easy is it for IG to consistently find the burst outnumber plays they've been looking for with this comp?
Answer is not easily, because now you're looking at IG and you think, okay, they have to get vision control, they have to get themselves maybe a Weaver's Wall to make things a little bit harder for EDG to play out in the short term, and look to see if they can snowball a fight before Viego can get off things. Now, we do have EDG, not just with 6 scrubs, haven't really had much chance to talk about them, but they're also going to get themselves Herald as well. Cryon is potentially just using that ult just to stop a reset coming through from Fish, who doesn't have ult, doesn't have flash, but he's able to keep himself under turrets. They can't even make something happen under bot lane turret.
Chains of Corruption land, Breath of Life is used in trade, but the depth charge afterwards means Arn still gets knocked up, needs to run away. The culling and the ignite going down alongside the heal, trying to make this one play out a little bit further. Monkey coming around. How aggressive do they want to play this? Arn probably has to go for a reset. That might leave this mid lane turret out to dry.
That's the biggest thing. The kills don't even matter in this sense. You're just trading evenly. Arn's going to heal up a bit. This is going to force a teleport into mid lane from Cryon. And the Herald's going to do its dirty work onto that tower and take down half of that HP. Now it feels like if IG lose another trade to this Varus Nautilus, things are going to go badly in terms of structures. Even if you don't die, you're likely losing that mid lane out of turret. EDG in a strong position as they save themselves in bot lane, and they manage to get advantages in mid lane.
I will say, though, that IG did at least secure that bot lane turret while all that was happening mid lane. So they do get that structure advantage for now. The problem is, though, you've drafted a Lucian Milio that's supposed to be all about, in some ways, that mid lane control, that mid lane dominance. The enemy bot lane is supposed to be afraid to step up to you, not to be able to do that.
Things will change once you hit 2 items on Lucian, which will be coming the next wave, I think you can see, is on the Kochi shard alongside the Zeal. So once you get to that point, I think things change a little bit. We have seen, though, that the Snake and Vampire very liberally throwing out their ults at the Lucian Milio, even if it is just a trade. I'm fairly happy with how they've played, honestly. The early dive wasn't great. They've ended up getting, you know, some good value in team fights and skirmishes beyond that, though. And EDG, the early game has been adequate. It's been adequate. They're not necessarily that far ahead. They do have 6 grubs, though, and that will give them a lot of value. If they win another fight, that could be what really sets them ahead. So IG can't really afford to throw one to the wind. YSKM finally heading down to the bot side of the map for the first time in this game, as is Ala. You have yourself Dragon spawning. IG, they have to brute force their way into River and use this Crescent Guard very well. That's the only thing they can play around to screen their advance.
Teleport coming on through, must plunge into the fog of war to IG. Big hook, but it's on to Leyen, who's trying to find space. The Crescent Guard comes on down. EDG trying to back away. Vampire throws out the Death Charge. The Chains of Corruption come on through, but there is a Breath of Life. Swiftly afterwards, Ale is going forwards, and the culling comes on through to some avail. Vampire pretty low, but on the other side, IG, big seismic shove. Let's take another look at this fight. The hook lands, but it comes to the cost of Nautilus' life. Leyen has to flash away on 10% HP. The Snake so low, and YSKM, this time I can use it. He's up to bat, and 3 and Tofo strikes, and the bot lane's out.
EDG, can they finally get 1 kill back? No, they can't. It's going to be a rout around the Dragon. It's going to be so many kills. It felt like one could come through and change things, but Monkey not able to be the Viego carry, which EDG needed him to be. IG walk away with a fight. They walk away with a Dragon, and EDG, they must be clutching their heads in their hands. That was their fight to win.
It was so close. I really want to see this replay. I guarantee we've got it. It's here now. What on earth happened? Because it looked so good, and then somehow, somewhere, Ale just has to run at the bot lane.
I was a little bit worried for IG after you've used the all-out early and Leon has used his Crescent Guard. At this point, you think, well, you don't have a front line there yet left. Your Cassante is very low HP, compared or low resist, but then this happens, and Ali gets stuck into the middle of the fight. He can't play anymore, but somehow EDG can't even finish off Leon here. If Monkey turns around for a single tap, you gotta think they could have gone for a reset and to turn that fight around, but the fact that they can't secure a good first kill onto him is a huge, huge issue. Everything was about getting those Viego resets. They fail at that. They fail at the Dragon fight and they fall apart.
IG just hates save scumming. There will be no resetting this fight. You've just got to play it as is. And the Viego has to stick to the one character for once. Also got to shout it out. The all-out immuned the ultimate from Poppy. The Cassante was not knocked out from the flank. And that actually meant that the Keeper's Verdict became very low value. It's a good amount of damage for Fisher. Lands a great shockwave, but the fact the Snake, the fact Monkey did not do much this fight, as you said, wasn't great from EDG, and that's just after we've been praising them.
So, credits to YSKM as a player. We have forever talked about having the 4-champion champ pool of like the Camille, the Gwen, the Fiora, and the Jax, and the Aurelia, and whatever, right?
Yeah,
it was a small patch as Ali is going to make his way out to safety and whatever, but your YSKM on the Cassantes put a lot of work into this champion to be valuable with it. So EDG, with the 6 scrub buffs though, they're going to get themselves mid lane out of turret, and that's going to be very important to them. Ala also walking into bot jungle, as we just saw, helps the Snake push in safely. So, EDG, they're not out of this game yet. They're only 1k down. They are against the Cloud Soul point. If Cloud Soul comes up, that is kind of annoying. Because once you have, Talia that ults off at the start of the fight, Lucian who pops the culling, it's very hard to close them down, even with something like a Shockwave. The extra movement speed is a hell of a lot to get out of those big ultimates which EDG might want to throw at them. Most games you think, oh, it's the Hextech of the Inferno or the Mountain which ends up closing things. This is a game where I think, given how hard it has been to close down some of these carries, I think Cloud could be a difference maker.
I mean, especially when you've got Ghost and All-Out running on a Cassante. That guy's going to be hitting Mach 5 on the Rift. There'll be sonic booms as Cassante runs at your immobile backline. There's no way to avoid this very angry man.
It's like, you actually, because he's traveling faster than the speed of sound, you get punched in the face and then it's, I will not yield! After he's already punched you in the face multiple times.
Just
That's fantastic. I'm actually quite impressed you could do that so quickly. Apparently,
genuinely, it's because I've been casting for a few years now. My ability to speak fast, at least in short bursts, is seriously
this might
improved.
Be sacrilege. I'm not the biggest fan of JoJo. I'm not the biggest fan. I like some memes.
What has C9's mid laner done to you?
Well, he played Ari that one time. It was really bad. Just like...
Mojo Jojo, best Jojo.
Well, it's okay. He's not quite on the hit list quite at the top right now. That's Pala. I can't call him Pala Fox anymore because that one Ari game.
You're so salty about this.
I am a principled individual. I'm gonna call it that way.
You are a petty man.
Occasionally I can. I am, however, someone who does keep his eye on the game, and I just say it how it is sometimes. But either way, we have 2 items coming through from both these mid laners now as we get back to things. 2 items for Arn, very important. He is building himself up to Lord Dom's regards. If you get to 3 items on this Lucian, this Poppy is going to feel a lot worse about life. Because you can start dealing damage, significant damage to this Poppy, with the Taliyah and the Lucian right now, it feels like. Whereas the K'Sante might have to be, well, EDG will have to wait a little longer to damage that K'Sante to the same degree that Poppy is vulnerable right now.
Also worth noting, Monkey hasn't gone towards anything like the Kraken Slayer on Viego, which has been pretty common. He has actually indexed into the Sundered Sky, into the Black Cleaver. It's a tankier build to try and survive to get to the first body and perhaps end up as a sort of, not necessarily a frontliner per se, but at least being able to deal with some of the initial bursts to get to a body in a reset.
Okay, Dragon, up in 20 seconds. EDG find themselves in river again, but it does feel, again, frontline advantage right now, going over to the way of IG. Things that can change that. Good enough Shockwave, good enough Pop Ult as well. EDG, they're trying to force this wave down in mid lane to stop IG having easy access towards Dragon, but IG have the bonus of saying, well, if you go too hard towards Dragon, we will go towards Baron. They have a Leandries, they have the Lucian who's strong at taking Baron too with this kind of... well, he's just a high DPS AD carry, which means that EDG needs to be very careful. They're leaving the Snake to take Dragon alone. IG not going to enter River, but they will start this Baron instead. This means that the Snake will have to pop Ghost early to roam up in time for a fight.
Not popped it yet, still happy to take this one a little bit slower. Is into mid lane, down about half HP is the Baron. Look at Ale on the backside, can keep his Verdict people out of here, which might mean if they lose the smite, it could get very ugly. K'Sante out, that means it's a 5v4 as the Snake arrives. Teleport back from K'Sante, YSKM coming in with the use of the additional summoner spell, and they'll all back away.
Okay, so with Poppy Gun, I think the YSKM can just go completely ham here now. Weaver's Wall comes in to try and to change the terrain a little bit, and IG, EDG, all eyes on each other, trying to spoil for this fight.
I think I meant Steadfast Presence there. Either way, K'Sante not able to dive. The Shockwave is okay. Leanne caught out, but throws down the Crescent Guard, and the Breath of Life keeps him alive for now. Look at the back end as YSKM gets into the backside. Now needs to back away. Still can go all out. Has yet to do so. Monkey ults away. The Heartbreak not being used to do damage really. Theo's eyes on. A little bit caught out there, guys. Slowed down by the buckler. Vampire will dredge line away. Cryon flashing forwards does not line the seismic shove. The Snake's still full HP, but the HP bars on EDG are too low, and they have to go over to the Water Dragon, knowing they've got the advantage.
No one dies, but IG find themselves a way into bot river. They are getting double teleported on, though. As HP bars regen, it's going to be another fight.
They can still go all out on YSK, but that's pretty much all they have to work with. Into the backside goes Ale, who immediately heroic charges through 5 people and leaves.
Oh my gosh, IG, they're still around though. And so even with the double TPs, it feels like IG are the ones holding some really important HP advantages. Monkey being low HP is a bad sign for EDG.
Leon with no ult, no flash, could still be a squishy target. YSKM, so low, about to go down Ale to the backside, gets a massive wall shove, crashes him into the wall. Wink needs to run, there's no mana on the Milio to keep anybody topped up. And that means they're going to lose the soul point. Look at where Ale is. He was just such a problem in that fight. And they can move right back over towards the Baron. And EDG win out on the grand scheme of things.
So this was all a giant ploy for IG to try and find their way into bot river. But the double teleports allow EDG to finally get the first kill with the HP advantage. IG can't stick around after that. It means that EDG are going to go straight towards the Baron. And with Ala's ult coming back off cooldown, he ejects the jungler. There will be no smite steal because of the damage coming out from the Snake. IG, they're going to have to watch both objectives go down in front of them.
That means they have to look for blood instead. The culling comes through, but the shockwave afterwards interrupts it. On down to about a third HP. They will lose Vampire on the end of this. They get something back as the shards come on through. Flash away from the chains of corruption, but Ali's still there. Good Crescent Guard, though, knocks them out. Monkey will ult in to get inside the Thunderdome. Leon healed up with a Breath of Life, and Monkey is shut down. Monkey sees no evil this time around. Cryin doing his best to get some work down on the front line. Ale, though, is just so damn tanky. And EDG, yes, they have Baron, but their HP bars are so low. And can they even get back to base?
We're going to see if they can finally get out. Ala trying to frontline, shoved backwards and put into the dirt, which Talia so helpfully raised for them. And with YSKM coming back, it continues.
You can still go all out, begins to dive on through. This might be the whole damn team. They lose their AD carry, 3 dead. Actually, 4 because Vampires respawn. They've got 1 single Baron remaining.
Hands up who's missed LPL shenanigans. It's me. I've missed it. Now, was that a clean series of plays?
No.
Fuck no. But it was a great entertaining piece of play across the map. As you can see that. Look, EDG, they have worked so hard to try and get themselves a clean start at Baron. Fantastic shockwave to stop Arn and Cryan rather getting DPS down. But now the shockwave's not there to be another form of disengage. EDG, they need to play very, very carefully about how they can play this retreat. Fisher can't come to the fight early because Cryan's ult has sealed him off from this fight. The only thing keeping them alive briefly at this point is the fact that Ala is threatening a wall stun and is still quite tanky for this point in the game. IG, it is very important that they stick to this fight. Credit to them for understanding that they have just enough HP bars to make the most of this as YSKM came back out onto the map and they managed to take all but one of the buffs away.
Yeah, and seriously there, Leon's ultimate coming back up when it did, knocking everybody away from him, caused so much strife there as well from EDG. Back towards the mid lane we go as YSKM ends up running face first into a steadfast presence. I don't know why Poppy being steadfast in her aura stops people from running around, but hey, who knows? What an incredible yordle ability.
I don't even have a pickup for that. That's just so intriguing. Now you do see, once again, everyone going onto the same part of the map, and we potentially have another 5v5 shockwave lance.
And it does land alongside the dredge line. Leon, though, will go up to the end, has a breath of life to keep himself up, but not for long enough. No! He's still alive, finally goes down. Ale flashing for that keeper's verdict, secures it on the other side. YSKM about to go down into the, and this time EDG find the fight on their terms.
Oh my god, this is a matchup we have seen so many times in the LPL over the years. EDG, their 10th anniversary in this league, up at the top level of Chinese Professional League of Legends, and it's been a hard year for them, but they still goddamn know how to team fight every now and then. IG, with losing that fight, they're potentially going to lose, with 6 grub buffs, the entire base. They're losing an inhib, and they might try and see if they can look for more. There's the hook!
Vampire going on forwards, looking for more kills, for more blood, and ain't that appropriate considering the name Ale. Will need to back away just a little bit, and actually they can't quite secure anything more. They'll have to back away. EDG, critical damage done, but not the game.
No, not just yet. Fisher has his shockwave coming up in the next few seconds as well, so IG can't even chase too hard into the Orianna. We have a breather. For one blessed moment, we have a breather as IG and EDG put down their arms and tend to their wounds and start spending some of that gold. Dragon, in a minute, IG could potentially get themselves sold, but they have top lane inhib down now, which means that someone will have to be keeping track of those super minions. What did this all start over? It started over a frickin' red buff of all things. Got some vision control left by EDG though from the last phase of play, which means that IG are at a numbers disadvantage. Cryan gets thrown out of the fight by another fantastic keeper's verdict. I think Ala has had a fantastic game of the Poppy, all things said and done so far. He's had 1 or 2 moments where he hasn't got maximum value, but on the whole, his ults have really changed these fights.
Yeah, they really, really have. And I think on the other side, IG is a team that has been dubbed the Giant Slayers this time around, and EDG, they're not Giants, not this year. The only thing Giant is the weight of history and expectations upon them, and the fact that in a lot of ways they've not been met. It's been a tough year to be an EDG player. There's so much that comes with playing for this organization, and IG currently dropping behind them just now. It's not over. The gold lead nearly even enough, but EDG are the ones realistically with that inhibitor down and that last shove in position to win the game. But I say that IG could still claim soul here, could still look to turn this one all around.
Dragon starting, so look out for that Poppy ult. It has changed so many of these sites already. IG have found their way into bot river early though this time. They still have to deal with Ala on a flank. He might look for a wall stun. And we also have to deal with the shockwave. They haven't got a flank onto this Orianna. This is a perfect situation, and now Ala can get into the back line.
He's about to get there, they don't know yet. The keeper's verdict comes on through, knocks 2 away! But already Vampire's dead. Can they win the fight afterwards though? Will be huge. YSKM just about alive. Surely he dies, does so. The body about to be secured by Monkey if he wants it. There's a second, they lose the top and the jungle. just for Vampire, and they will stop the Soul again.
Arla does not want to lose another goddamn series. Reminder, if EDG were to lose this series, pretty sure they are mathematically locked out of playoffs. They have seen themselves world champions. They have seen themselves LPL champions. IG similar across the other side. They are far from those shades of glory, but when these teams face up, you just remember how goddamn fun it is to watch these teams team fight.
They are certainly something at points. The LPL at points has been just phenomenal to watch. The absolute chaos of team fights, if nothing else. Just so exciting to keep your eyes on. Have a look at this replay because Arla finds the clutch flank.
For most of this game, Arla has been the front line, stood in front of his team. I think Fisher is strong enough now to threaten the Shockwave to be that front line instead. So Arla gets to be on the flank, and that is not something which IG expect. And because the Nautilus ult follows them as well, it's the punt away, and then the Nautilus ult hits them to delay them getting back to the fight, which means that it is completely isolated the front line of IG. 2 kills, well played out.
That is just a filthy combo. There's just nothing you can do about it. You're knocked so far away with so much CC. The time it takes for you to get back to fight is 10, 15 seconds? Huge delay. And it means another kill goes over, another dragon goes over, and Baron spawned EDG in position.
We have some significant items coming through from IG's carries now, though. They have their percent pen items. You've got Crypt Bloom, and you have the Lord Dominate's Regards. That ult coming across shuffles. Vampire needs to Hex Slash over to potentially separating out the fight.
Throw down a Steadfast Presence. Arla is the target, still doing just fine. The Keeper's Verdict knocks the Tilly away. That's a lot of the DPS. Leon has got the Crescent Guard running, but for how much longer? It's down. Thunderdome ended. Shockwave on the backside! Winkanon down to sub 100 HP, particularly for the Milio side. YSKM needing to run away, gets slowed by the Blade of the Ruined King, and with the Ghost running, needs to leave.
You can tell how tense this is getting. All of these kind of snatch and grab plays, waiting for that moment of magic to see if they can win it out. Popiel only gets rid of 1 carry this time, and it wasn't quite enough. It's going to be a start on the Baron. Teleports in basically just to regen. There's no flanks here. We are fist fighting straight down the front and middle.
Go again, hook lands, and the line skill shot, but where is Fisher? Keep your eyes on it, as they'll make it happen a little bit longer. Kill onto Monkey at the back end of it, crying, still alive, still going, finally goes down, and the extended kills are brutal. Is in the picture, the super minions are going on in, the base in danger, are being nearly shoved into the broken turret, but not quite yet, as Ale will throw down another hammer smash. This Lucian just can't run far enough away. A shield to the face brings him to his knees, and EDG will win game 1.
Invictus Giant Slayers are not up against Titans in this game, but EDG will make themselves known all the same and will take down their own Giants in this game. They're going to have to take an inhibit. It will delay the end of this game. Wink will be alive, but he's only a poor Milio. EDG will still storm the base.
Now, the wrong kind of monster slayer. They should have brought stakes. It's a vampire team they're going up against, and it will be EDG who come away with game 1.
This has been one of the first games that we've seen from EDG where I really thought, wow, they really just genuinely out-teamed for. It feels like a lot of the time when they've been winning their series recently, the last 2 that they ended up winning between those, it felt like other teams were making significant mistakes. Now, I do think that IG were doing that, but on the whole, I would put this down to, on the whole, Arla massively outplaying the team fights rather than necessarily it being about, you know, the mistakes from the other side. Arla 100% is the MVP from that. I think that Poppy was a fantastic lock-in. It's a champion which I'm surprised we haven't seen more. And I'm very happy to see that. Punishing the weaker Kasansei, locking into tank champion, which is a much better frontline right now. When Arla has been a frontline for his team, EDG look like they know how to play the goddamn game. And that is such an important distinction.
And I think especially with how human, mortal, unassuming, maybe is actually the term I'll use, Ale has looked this year. He has not looked like the domineering pressure point that at his best puts him up there among the best in the world even, never mind just the LPL. He really has been truly excellent in the past. It's not been there consistently this year. That's the kind of game you want to see. Monkey as well having a really good Viego game, particularly in that early mid game. Vampire and the Snake with some really good CC. Fisher landing good shockwaves, good DPS. There's a lot here to go, okay, I see what EDG see in some of these players. Is it a budget roster? Is it the RLDL roster? Hell yes, but these guys do have talent. They do. It's just been a real trial by fire, especially when things don't start well. It's hard for rookies to get their footing in a league like the LPL, especially with so much pressure on it.
I think this will be, since Arlo was subbed out and he's been subbed back in, this will be something like his 7th or 8th game. I think he's going to walk away with a 4th MVP from coming back. like, when they've won, you know, their games, it has largely been through Ola. Folks, we're going to leave it there for game 1. We're going to refill on drinks, and we're going to start chatting around a bit. Thanks for tuning in, as always. And
pleasure.
I was a little bit